Thank you for tuning in to the Afternoon Pint. This episode is sponsored by Camilla Najat of Exit Realty, Strategy Up Business Consultants, and ISS Atlantic Security Guard Services. Enjoy the show.
Ready?
Cheers!
Cheers!
And welcome to the Afternoon Pint. I'm Mike Tobin.
I am Matt Conrad.
And who do we have with us today?
I'm Serena Haines, your everything to do with sex coach.
Sex what coach?
Everything to do with sex coach.
Sex coach. Sex
Yeah.
education or sex ed, or what do you mean?
A little bit of everything. So I'm a
Okay.
certified sexologist, which
Okay,
means I study the art of sex and how-tos and all the goodies that are in there. I'm a certified relationship and intimacy coach, so I help couples and work on their relationship and their intimacy. And I always laugh and I quote it, but I go on, I'm a Gottman Institute. I have a Gottman Institute certification in relational coaching. So the Gottmans are like the gold standard of relational counseling. So I've studied under them and worked really hard to be able to kind of help people in relationships as well.
Interesting. So I'll just say real quick where we're at. It might be a little noisy here. We're at Station 6 today. We're not in our usual spot, but they were still nice enough to hold us in here. So
Yeah,
thanks
Station
to
6.
Station 6. I'm having, what am I drinking, Matt?
You're drinking the Anytime IPA.
Propeller Anytime IPA. It's a great one. And you're having
Galaxy, of course.
Galaxy, of course. And
I have no idea. I asked her for something sweet.
Oh, they brought you the sour.
is it a
That's right.
cider or sour?
Sour.
It's the sour.
Is it sour?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I hope it is sour.
She's not like you.
What, not sour?
I'm not a
hate
big.
sour.
Well, I don't mind like sour candy, but I don't like sour beer.
I don't like sour candy, but I'll drink sour beer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
And I'm a lightweight, so when people...
Do you like sauerkraut?
I do like sauerkraut.
So I love sauerkraut. Can eat that all day.
I like sauerkraut. I'm a lightweight as well, so a cider just throws me over the edge. So maybe we won't do that while we're talking about sex tonight.
No, that might be more fun, actually. We'll see what happens. So let's just go back a second. So you're a sex educator, I guess, for couples and for individuals?
And for individuals. So
Right.
yeah, so I have a private practice. So I work with couples and individuals who have any sort of intimacy, relational, or sexual challenge.
Okay.
So that can range from, how to give a good blowjob to, we've been together 20 years and our relationship is like falling off the deep end and we don't even know each other anymore. So it can
Okay.
be all the extremes and everything in between.
So it kind of starts with therapy sometimes and then works into the
Sometimes.
sex after? Is that
Well,
kind
no,
of
it kind of, it's kind of, I'm not a therapist.
Right.
So I'm really careful to make sure everybody knows that. That was personal reasons and choices. So I want to take you to your first sex club and I want to take you to, your first sex party. And I want to do those things and be your everything to do with sex coach wing woman. And if I was a therapist, I'd be regulated under some laws and things
fair
that
enough.
ethically I'm not allowed to do that. So
Got it. Okay.
I'm
so
a
yeah.
little bit of everything else.
So let's go back a little bit in the timeline. How did you get to this occupation, this profession?
How did you get to this point, Serena? As my mother says that to me every day with a shake in her head and shame in her eyes.
Oh yeah, I forgot to say, Mom, turn this one off.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Kathy,
Right?
Kathy, yeah,
Turn this one
just
off.
Turn it off. Turn it off.
No, Kathy, reach out.
Okay.
You'll love it. How did I get here? So, it's a really long story, but the short of it is I was always that girl that always wanted to talk about sex, and not in a crass way and not in a weird way. Like even from a younger age, and I hesitate so much when I say young, but I really do mean like a younger age appropriately, but younger. I was just fascinated by relationships and human biology and just human psychology and just the way people interacted with each other. So like fast forward into my university years and things, people, if they had questions, they'd come and talk to me and I loved it. Of course, I was listening to Sue Johansson religiously when I was like 13, 14, 15 years old, thinking I knew it all. And then, in university, I did psychology and I thought, what, this is really boring. I don't like this. I would rather go smoke weed out with the boys. So I kind of flunked out and I didn't do that, but I became a paramedic. And I know none of this really feels like it kind of comes together, but it really does, because becoming a paramedic gave me the human biology side of it. And I really loved how the body worked. And it had such a big impact on how I looked at my own sexuality and
On
my
your
own
mortality.
Right?
I mean, gosh, 'cause
Exactly,
You're
you
seeing
know?
people in their hardest moment or their most
hardest
critical
times.
moment of their lives.
And
life
then
or death.
dealing with, people going through this trauma and how different people deal with that. And then
It's also still all anatomy, though. Like I see the connection very much
right.
so, right?
So
it's still
all
health.
anatomy.
It's still like health and anatomy.
And if it's not physical anatomy, it's just your emotional anatomy.
Yeah.
Like how do you manage being in spaces with people who may or may not be on the same page with you, and how can you read that room, and then how can you work around it, right? So we did that. Then I became a mom. So for like 15 years, I was a stay-at-home mom, and I was so bored. I was so bored. I was busy. I was really, really busy, but I knew that I wanted to do something else. So one day, actually, I looked at my husband and I was like, okay, do you know what, babe? I'm about to fuck some stuff up right now. And he's like, what do you mean? And I was like, you need to hold on to your horses right now. Everything that everybody knows about who I am and who we are is about to like go in the toilet. Because I'm jumping out of hockey mom. And I mean, I was in the hockey culture for a long time with all of my kids.
Yeah.
And jumping from hockey mom to sex coach. You can only imagine.
So,
what that would
nobody
look
in
like.
your circle knew this about that this was your
My
deep interest, your closest friends,
but I'm a pretty closed book. I don't have a very large close circle. So there's like a palm full of people in my world who know me, who I am and what I love.
And what year was that? You kind of broke the...
Probably like 2015 or 2016. I looked at them and I was like, I'm going to do something ridiculous. And I needed to find something for myself in my own body.
And that's not a real easy world to do that in, because hockey, listen, I love hockey. It's a great sport.
Yeah.
But let's be honest here. In Canada, hockey comes with a very toxic culture.
Yeah.
Whether, it's always keeping up the Joneses or whatever it may be, and the way you should be and all the way your kids should be and everything. So it's particularly a really hard thing to come out to that may be against the grain or against the norm or something.
Right, exactly.
Now, your husband obviously knew you. So how did he react to it? Was he supportive? Did he know this was kind of coming? Or did he see it looming? Like this deep desire to do this thing?
If you ask him now, he would say yes. Yeah. And my husband does know me. And he kind of did, I don't know, the body language will come out in the microphone, but it was kind of like this. Here we go. Like he knew it, right? Like he knew something was up, and he knew that he couldn't stop me. And he was. I'm not going to lie. He knows that I talk about this all the time. He was not supportive right away. He was worried. It's not that he didn't want me to. Right. Yeah. It's not that he didn't want me to do it, but much like everybody who hears what I do, he didn't know what it was I really wanted to get out of this. Right. So he kept saying things like, "I don't want our sex life to be put out there. I don't want my personal life to be put out there." And I'm like,
I understand that.
Yeah.
I'm like 100% as well. That's not the jam. That's not what we
when you
talk
step
about.
into that arena, you really got to let people have their personal lives and kind of live it just as you want to live your life as you want to live, right?
Exactly.
So I respect that. Yeah.
None of our personal life was really ever brought in. That wasn't even a thought on my mind, because my voice wasn't what I wanted to share necessarily publicly. It was, I wanted to be in clinic with people. I wanted to bring people in one-on-one. So it wasn't me sitting here like I am today, or even on my own podcast saying, hey, this is what I do now, and da-da-da. Like that wasn't the original plan.
Right.
It was really like, I see so many people struggling, especially as a stay-at-home mom in the hockey world. Okay. And I know for some, if you're not even hockey, I think it's sports, in the sports arena in general. If you're a sports parent, you get really close to these people.
That's true.
And they become the people you spend almost the most time with.
Yeah.
When I've got 2 boys that were in hockey, my daughter tried, but she didn't like it. But having all of that in there, it really got in the way of me being able to keep my mouth shut. So I would hear like the stay-at-home moms being like, oh my God, he doesn't do the laundry and he doesn't do this and then he wants me to suck his dick. What the fuck? And then I've got like the opposite side of it where I'm kind of a guy's girl, and the hockey moms didn't really like me a lot. And they didn't talk to me a lot. And that because I was by myself, like I had 3 kids, I was alone. I was really antisocial. But I'd hear the boys and they're like going to the strip club and they're going to go do the thing. And I was sitting there going, I want to go to the strip club, you guys. Like, can I go? Like, I want to go with you guys. You guys are having fun. They're just fucking eating pizza with the kids. Like, let me come.
Yeah.
But you can't do that. Like the hockey mom can't go with hockey dads. I mean, my God, like that's scandalous, right? So you can't do that either. So hearing all of these different sides, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go do my thing. I'm just going to go out there and do my thing. When I first started, I'm not going to lie, I dove head first, and this won't surprise anybody who knows me either. I don't tiptoe into very many things. I dive head first, and then I will wade out to my comfort level, right? But I really want to like submerge myself in it.
Okay.
And I went out and did somatic sexology. So I became a certified sexological body worker.
That sounds complicated. What does that mean?
So that is kind of like I can touch people's bodies.
Okay.
That's what I thought I
You have
wanted
a
to do.
license to do that? Is that what you mean?
You can, yeah.
Okay.
In a very
Not
clinical
let Donald
setting.
Trump know that.
In a very clinical therapeutic setting. Right? But seriously, this is what I thought I wanted to do because I heard all of these women, specifically, all of these women who were like, who've lost themselves.
Yeah.
They had lost their drive, their spark, their sex life was gone with their husbands. I'm hearing the husbands on the other side just like be completely lost as well. And I'm thinking,
okay, so go back because this is where I'm really curious. So why were people sharing? Were people just sharing this with you as a hockey mom?
yeah, people just talk to me.
They're just opening up
People
and
just
saying, "Man,
share
I'm not
shit
having
with
sex
me.
right now." They're just telling you that.
The
Is it-
women don't generally,
Okay.
the men do.
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But so here's the thing, though, you guys, and listen, this is a dicey little topic, but as a woman who wants to talk about sex, you're going to get the guys that want to talk to you about
Sure.
this things,
Yeah.
okay?
Okay.
Guys want to talk to a woman about
yeah.
sex. Like it's a hot little spicy little thing to do regardless of who you
Dudes
are.
don't really talk to dudes about sex.
Dudes don't talk to dudes about
Matt
sex.
and I don't think we've ever had a conversation about that subject.
Right? Like probably not real and deep.
Like more like good place to get hamburgers. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or, well, I mean, you know, you got to get in a little bit deeper than that, but I'm sure. And then the women, a lot of the time, as a mother especially, there's a hat that you put on when you become a mom, and that sex vixen hat has to be tucked away somewhere, except when it has to come out right away and you got to put it on and do your duty and do the thing that you're supposed to do.
Okay, yeah.
But women aren't supposed to like sex, quote, like it. They're not supposed to want it. They're not supposed to desire it. They're just supposed to be really
I never
good
thought
girls.
that like
Do you,
that.
yeah, I never thought that way
To
either.
be
But like,
honest
do you
with
think, is that still a mentality that people have?
Is that an old? Is that a generational thing? Do you think that's
I don't know.
leaving? Like,
I
'cause
can ask
don't-
you guys some pretty... Okay, let me ask you.
Sure.
You are dating a woman.
Yeah.
And you find out that she has slept with 300 people in the city.
300?
300.
That's a big number.
Do you know
Okay.
I've never asked that question to
Good
anyone
for
I've
you.
ever dated.
Good for you. Because, see, this is the thing. Some people still do, and it matters to them. Because if that had happened, then what's the first thing that comes to your mind when I say something like that, right?
Right.
Loose, easy.
Everywhere or whatever. The only thing I
Right?
ever really cared about, like, is like, have they been sexually active with a close buddy?
Right.
That's
fair.
the only thing where I'm kind of like,
Okay.
Yeah.
too close to home.
You know, I mean, maybe.
right?
And that's cool. I mean,
Yeah.
like, that's totally fine. But I just mean, like, that general overview of if a woman has slept with a lot
But then
of
I
people.
didn't ask her though. I'd be like, hey guys, this is the first time I'm dating. Anyone?
Right. So, see, so you still did it.
I mean, in defense
Although
of that
we do it too,
question,
girls do
though,
it too.
it happened. Yeah, girls definitely
Oh,
ask
yeah.
guys
Oh, yeah.
that, and there's definitely you know.
The text thread of all of my divorcee girlfriends
Yeah.
is just Tinder profile pictures of like, did you go out with this one? Did you go out with this one? Who's this guy? What do we got on that guy?
Yeah.
You know, it's just vetting. It's just the vetting process. I get it. I totally
I
understand.
mean,
people
that
do
being
get
said,
vetted on
with
both
my wife
sides.
now, she's from Quebec, so I knew I was safe. I went really far
yeah,
away.
yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
There you go.
Yeah.
Grab one from far and then you just bring them back.
So
I know.
yeah, so what are other questions that you think that like aren't equal? Because I mean, I feel that's an equal question, the male to female, right? I mean,
What do you mean?
That asking about sexual partners, previous sexual partners. I think both men and women do ask that of each other.
So it's not, I don't think it's that the men and the women asking it of each other. I think
Yep.
it's the way society views it.
Okay.
So the woman who
That's
had sex
true.
with 300 people is a whore.
Right.
And the man that had sex with 300
the
people
best.
is the best. Man. He's the goat.
No, he's got to slow
He
down too. I
bagged
think.
it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
you
don't
know what? And I
don't know if I
honestly,
agree with
like,
that.
Okay, maybe not 300, but
Yeah,
even
yeah,
even if the number was 20.
Yeah,
no, but
okay,
even
yeah.
still, like I don't know. I don't know. Maybe people think I'm weird about this, but I never like the current phrases where it's like body count and
Right.
and bagged
Yeah.
or like things like it's like, oh, how
terrible.
many did you slay or like.
It's
I
also
never liked
violent,
the-
right? We talk
yeah.
about that a lot in my work too, is that we want to change the narrative because words matter. Words
Yeah.
matter a lot. And when you're talking about, smashing it
Right.
and banging it.
I agree with that.
And you pummeled it last weekend.
Yeah.
Like it's all so violent. And then we wonder why we have still this pervasive violence that comes in sex.
Yeah.
And it's the language that we're using. Like there's not very many times that you'll hear the boys talk to the boys and be like, oh my God, I snuggled that pussy so hard last week.
We cuddled forever.
Yeah.
Like I stroked her so
There
gently
you go.
that she came 17 times because that's the key, fellas. All right. If you're going to smash it, she's likely just going to go home with bruises on her butt, which is also super fun. But maybe you want to like stroke it a little bit more gentle.
There you go.
And that's
There
what
you
I
go.
do. That's what I do for a living. I teach people how to do that.
Which brings us to your gift bags. You brought us gift
I
bags.
did.
You
I
have a
did.
whole bag of stuff, and I'm curious.
Tickle
'cause
trunk.
This,
A little
this-
tickle
this
trunk.
should probably. It's quite a big box.
So these I brought
That's
for
what
you
she said.
guys.
I had to. Sorry.
Okay, so in this little baggie that I have for you, I teamed up with Voda Retreats. I don't know if you guys know Voda Retreats. They do a lot of mindfulness and wellness products. And Serena Haines and Voda teamed up, and we have a. First of all, I'll tell you what that is now.
Okay,
But there's an inhaler in there that neither one of you have taken out yet. It's a little nasal inhaler,
Okay.
and it's got like sexy scents on it.
That it? That
No, this is an oil.
No.
Okay, you don't know how
Right there.
slow I
Right
am.
there,
Okay,
right there.
here. So that's it.
Yes.
Ginger.
Okay.
So
How did
this
you know
is-
I love ginger?
There you go. So this is a little nasal inhaler, kind of like, you know, those Vicks inhalers that you would use, like if you're all stuffy. And you
Okay.
kind of inhale it, but it's meant to.
This is branded,
it's called-
Serena. This got your
Yes.
name on it.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Holy
we,
smokes.
Yeah, we did a really cool little collab on this. So this is it's called Ignite. And it's supposed to and she's the brilliant one. Rebecca's the brilliant one at Voda Retreats when it comes to like the scents and the combos and how that works. And you kind of inhale it, and it's supposed to bring the blood flow and like, you know, get you kind of feeling all sexy. And then on the back of that card, that branded card, there's a little QR code. And on that QR code is a meditation. It's an eye gazing meditation recorded by myself. So it's my voice, and it's walking you through either doing a self-guided eye gazing meditation with yourself or with your partner. So it's it's a moment where you would inhale your little inhaler and then sit with your partner and listen to this, like, I think it's about 10-minute meditation, and look in each other's eyes and eye gaze, and then you'd start your erotic presence with one another.
That sounds like a trip. There you go.
So that's a lot of fun.
I'm not doing with this with you.
You want next episode?
Next episode, video record, and then we have just some coconut oil,
Okay.
genital oil. So this is good oil and lubricant for all genitals. So it's genital safe, but body safe as well. So just a little, you know, it's organic, and it's just a really nice little lube to have. And then the third thing that you have in there are called the pleasure pods. And I do have to sound like a little bit of a commercial, because Pleasure Pods are the sponsor of a lot of my events and myself as well. So the Pleasure Pods is a solid lube that comes in kind of like a half moon.
Yeah.
I may have one here that we can open. You guys can look at it. It comes in like a half moon, and it's kind of like a coconut oil, and it melts with your body temperature. So it was actually created and formulated for women in menopause. And what you do is you kind of take it and you crack it into little bits, and you can stick it in whatever hole you want to stick it in. And it melts with your body temperature. So it's really good for all kinds of different play. So vaginal play or anal play or anything like that. Plus, because it melts with your body temperature, you can give massages with it. It's really good for people with penises. Instead of using just like Lubriderm lotion, maybe you want to like use something that's really nourishing for your skin when you're doing your self-pleasure and your masturbation. So that's a really amazing product. So I wanted to give you guys one of those too.
Cool. And then
Really cool. Thank
your
you.
cards are like.
And then my business card.
Oh, is your business card in there? I didn't see that.
Yeah, the business card are good. Like, look at them. They really stand out.
Oh, thank you.
Whoa, yeah. That's
Yeah.
cool. Sex and intimacy coach.
Sex
Perfect.
and intimacy.
Well, this is great. So thank you for the gift.
Yeah,
we
you're
don't get gifts
welcome.
very often here. We just drink beer usually. So that's
Well,
awesome.
there. Now you have beer and erotic inhalers and, you know, masturbation oil.
I think
You're welcome.
it would be really fun. We had some questions and stuff we were going to ask, but I mean, I'm just kind of really curious. It's kind of like meeting Carrot Top for the first time. What else you got in that? What else you got in that trunk over there? I want to know.
So the reason I bring my trunk around a lot, so I talk a lot about women's pleasure.
Yeah.
Primarily because I wish that you kind of can't see everything, but
I've never felt so much like Howard Stern, by the way. As I do
seriously.
right now. This is great.
Yeah.
He was one of my icons in radio for many years. So
yeah, and now
was
you
great.
get to have all of this
Yeah.
stuff. I'll turn it away from all of the patrons that are in the bar.
Yeah.
I'll turn it away from them. But I'll tell you why I bring
We won't
all
be
of this
invited
stuff,
back to this
right?
spot. Yep.
So, and we'll lay it. We'll
Oh my
lay all
God,
this stuff.
okay.
So we've got
We're
like a
just
little
taking
anal toy.
Yeah.
And then we've got this little like fun. We're getting way off track here.
No,
but we
no,
have
this
this
is
like
great.
really fun little toy that you like put on your hand. And you
It's a
can-
glove.
It's a glove.
What was the bad guy in that Raccoons TV show? It kind
Oh
of
my
looks like his
God.
nose.
Cyril Sneer.
It looks like his nose from
looks
the
like
Raccoons
For the
Cyril
TV
first
show.
time, I noticed it has a fingernail.
It does
wow.
too.
Look
yeah.
at that.
Okay, there you go.
Anyways, so anyway, that's pretty much, and there's a couple of other toys that are in here as well. But it's really just the idea that I work a lot with teaching women's pleasure.
Okay.
So it's
So these are
women's
like models
anatomy.
where you're teaching people where
Right.
to do the stuff?
Pretty much the
Okay.
anatomy.
All right.
Like, for example, and we're getting to a
This
point
reminds me
now.
of like grade 8, man, when she took out the banana. Did you guys have that in your
And you
class?
had to like put the condom
Yeah,
on
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
I did a show a couple of years ago at the Atlantic Sex Show
Yeah,
called
yeah.
More Than the Tip. My show by myself is called Just the Tip, and then
Yeah,
I do
yeah.
a comedy show with comedians, and it's called More Than the Tip.
Okay.
And we had people come up on stage and do a couple of little like games to win prizes, and one of them was like, show how you give the best blowjob. And this man came up and he took a banana and he literally inhaled it. Like, I'm talking like unpeeled it. It went down his throat and like it didn't come back out again. And I was like on my knees going, bravo, that was amazing. Anyways, so like, for example, like, do you guys know what this is?
This episode is brought to you by Camilla Najat with Exit Realty Metro.
Camilla Najat is an experienced real estate agent who prides herself in finding the perfect home for her clients. Camilla can help you with a comparative market analysis to help determine the value of your home if you're planning on selling, or help you determine the going rate for the neighborhood you're moving into. She can also work with you at your pace.
You can reach Camilla by calling 902-880-8429 or email camilla@exitmetro.ca.
Also, you can find her on Facebook at Camilla Najat, Exit Realty Metro.
It looks like lungs.
No, I don't know what
Connected
that
to a
Right?
wishbone.
No, I
So
don't know.
it
does
looks like a wishbone.
It does
Yeah.
look like a wishbone, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So this is the clitoris.
Oh, okay.
And so what? So
I
what?
see
It's a
what-
model.
yeah, well, that's
It's a model.
That's a model, right?
So
Yeah.
this
I
is
was
the
honestly
vulva.
thinking this was a toy, but
Yeah.
okay, sure. I was
No,
thrown
right?
off.
So
Okay.
it's a model. And so the reason that I
Looked more
bring
like
my
a
stuff
Star Wars
around a
character
lot.
when it's that color. And
Yes.
yeah.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah.
iridescent blue.
Yeah.
You got to zhuzh it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, give me a break.
Yeah.
But like the little P that we see on the outside is what most people kind of focus on, or even the fact that like intercourse itself or something in insertion is what's going to really bring a woman to pleasure. But only 18% of women will have orgasms through penetration, and the rest of it is because of our clitoris. So if I was to ask you guys, just any general person, like, what's the male sex organ? What would you say?
Well, what is it?
Yeah, what is it?
Well,
Pretty
penis.
sure what it is.
Penis.
Yeah.
Of
Okay.
course.
We passed?
But if I asked you what was the female sex organ, what would you say?
Clitoris.
Well, you would.
No, do you think I thought I
No,
knew
okay,
that
good,
before
I'm
this?
glad.
I mean,
Yeah.
geez, yeah.
But most people would actually say the vagina.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Right? People
Yeah.
would say the vagina. And
Yeah.
even this right here, they would say, what is this? They'd say a vagina. And I go, no, this is the vulva.
Yeah.
Everything on the outside is the vulva and everything on the inside is the vagina.
Okay.
But the clitoris is a sex organ. So it's just interesting to me that not a lot of people know what this looks like. Like, this is a full erectile bed.
This is going to be the perfect
Yeah,
picture
we'll take
for
some
your
pictures.
podcast episode cover, because no one will know what this is until they watch the episode. Just hold that up just a little bit, because there
Yeah,
you
that's
go.
perfect.
Just look up. Awesome. That's the picture
That's
for,
it.
for this week's episode.
that's-
If you
yeah.
saw
And
the
it's like,
episode tile.
it's an erectile bed. So like this grows, this is life size, and it grows like 3 to 4 times the size when we get boners, because we get boners too.
Okay.
And then, so this is the whole deal with my work, is that I try to help people understand mostly female pleasure, because if you can understand, if you're hetero and you understand female pleasure, then your pleasure as the man in that relationship is going to skyrocket, because you're going to find yourself with a woman who maybe prior to didn't like sex, didn't want to have sex because the
Right.
sex that she was having was shitty and she wasn't orgasming and her body wasn't being taken care of and her needs weren't being met, to a woman who is so into it that she's fiending for you and she's just your little slut whore at home and you love it and she loves it and everybody is just like, oh, I just want more, because now all of a
We're
sudden
using
my
a lot of new words in this episode.
Oh,
I think
good.
Yes, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
okay,
Yeah.
I can censor myself.
No,
No,
that's okay. Have fun.
Like
Go
I said,
for it.
it's your episode.
Your
and I
episode.
mean, how, like, how do you talk about this stuff? I mean, we have to talk about these things.
Yeah.
I mean, our generation's kind of, we were raised in a generation where like we had to say like, flower,
Exactly.
like PP or things.
Yep.
And it's just like, can we just say penis? Like, can
Exactly.
we just say vagina? Like,
And
can
instead of like cookie and flower
Yeah.
and all of this stuff, say vulva. Like, that's your vulva. It's
Right.
really, so that's the other part of the work that I'm doing, is having these conversations with grown-ups.
Yeah.
I'm helping the grown-ups feel comfortable with this language so that they can teach their children.
Right.
Right. So that you can go home and maybe you have a daughter and you're a man and you go home and you have a daughter and now you don't feel uncomfortable. You can bathe her and say something like, here, babe, take the face cloth and wash your vulva. vulva.
Yeah.
Just like you would look at your son likely and say, here, wash your balls or wash your penis or wash your dick, whatever.
Right,
Like
yeah,
you
yeah.
could just say the word.
Yeah.
But instead of saying like cookie or whatever, there's so much research out there that says that when we use the right language for younger children,
Yep.
and then as they get into erotic stages of their lives, early teenagehood, like finding their own bodies and their own pleasure, if we focus on pleasure as something that's important, there's less likely to be any sort of abuse or harassment or anything like that, because they have more agency over it.
Right.
So a young woman, for example, who knows how to pleasure herself at 16, 17, 18 and knows what her body feels like,
Right.
is not going to let somebody's dusty ass son rub her left thigh for 45 minutes
Right, yeah.
just to make him like her,
Right, right,
because
right.
trust me, back in the day I did.
Yeah.
That's what we did. Like if you don't do it, somebody else will. If you don't let him do it, somebody else will. This is the narrative. Like if
Yeah.
you want him, you better show up as that girl.
Right.
And I want to change that narrative. And the only way to do that is to help young women have so much agency and power over their own pleasure that they stand up and they say, babe, I really want to hang out with you and this is really fun, but that's not at all where my pleasure spots are, and you can learn how to touch them, and let's work on this together. Now,
Right.
age appropriately at 20, whatever, we're
Yeah,
not talking
yeah.
about
You must
young people.
like people. Younger people must have some unrealistic expectations about sex because of pornography and stuff. Is
Yeah.
that something that you kind of see quite a
100%.
bit? Is
It's
that
not
in all
even young.
ages or just not even all ages? Yeah.
All ages. Like how many times do I have men come in? Most of my clients when I first started were men.
Yeah.
And they would come in with things like, my penis is not big enough. I don't know how to please my partner.
That surprises
I
me.
don't
I
know
thought
how to do
you'd
all
have
this
more
stuff.
women coming in than men for some reason.
No.
Just thinking, yeah.
No,
Crazy.
not in the beginning.
Yeah, yeah.
Like now it's changed a little bit, but in the very beginning it was very much like it blew my mind, and it's across the board. Like I have many friends of mine who are sex coaches and working in this field, and it's the men who are coming in and saying, I know that there's more. I know that I've gotten the shaft, pardon the pun, on the education and the knowledge around how to actually be a good lover. I know that I'm missing something because she's pissed off or he's pissed off. I'm not having a good time. We're all, what am I missing about this, right? Or sex is so shallow for me,
Right.
Like I just go, I do the thing, it's so shallow, then I have like post-nut clarity and I'm done and I'm over, and it's still, it just feels empty. How do I feel more connected and attached and like in? So we work on slowing things down and like, how do you...
That's great that guys are going out and approaching it that
It's
way.
amazing.
It's a smart way to do it.
It's really,
Kudos
it's
to
given...
those people that show up and
Yeah.
just kind of talk about themselves.
I've always had a lot of compassion for
Yep.
men. Like I am a woman, so it's ingrained in me to have that compassion. But as a woman, we were kind of, you got a little man hating going on in our own conditioning, right? Like, he
Yeah.
didn't know how to do this and he doesn't know how to whatever. I have a lot of compassion for that because you guys were never taught or given the script, going back to porn, is that, maybe in your generations, because I'm not going to guess anybody's ages, but I know in mine, you had to look at a still photo in a magazine.
That's right.
That's
yeah,
us.
Or
Yep.
you had to
We were the
dial up
last
your
that
internet.
generation. Like
Yeah,
we get
we
the
were-
dial-up internet.
You had to dial up your internet,
So
yeah.
we might have got to a point where it would take about
Or you
14
had,
minutes
like,
for boobs to load up.
Blue
but-
Nuit or
yeah.
something,
Yes.
like
that's
late
right.
at night,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, you got it.
So
yeah.
you only had little glimpses, and you had to use your
So
imagination.
vastly different today. Yeah.
Right? You had to
Vastly
use your
different.
imagination, and now you don't have to use your imagination
Right.
at all.
Yeah.
And you can just be fed all of this information. And then I have young men who will come to me at 30, 35 years old saying they have erectile dysfunction. And I'm like, okay, let's talk about your masturbation habits. And the habits are rip and grip while watching the hardest core, dirtiest porn I can, because I've been watching it for so many years
Right.
that I had to go farther and
Desensitized
farther.
and-
Yeah.
yeah.
And I had to go farther and farther into it. So now when I'm with my soft, beautiful, loving partner who needs me to slow down and who needs me to do this, my brain can't slow down enough to actually be in those moments anymore. So then I get worried and I'm in my head and I've got anxiety, and then my dick doesn't work, and then I get even more anxious, and then I can't do anything, and then I just don't want to do anything, and I roll over and she thinks I'm mad, and then I've got to be all man, and I go out for a beer, and now we're having a fight. So like this is just the cycle of how this all goes down. So it makes me really sad for people.
No, it's
Yeah.
true. So how would you reverse that though?
Yeah, practice. It does take practice.
Yeah.
And I always say, and again, sports analogies, but you got to practice like you play. You have to
Okay.
practice like you play. My kids did not go out. They were not allowed to go out on the ice on Sunday and have a Sunday afternoon skate. You had to skate like you were in the fucking,
Yep.
gold medal game.
Yeah.
And that's
Okay.
the way you need to practice your masturbation as well, regardless of who you are. I say the same thing to women. If
Yeah.
they come to me and they say, I can't orgasm with my partner, but they're using a vibrator every single time and they're blasting out a 5-minute orgasm, I go, girl, your partner's not vibrating like that. Like you need to be able to do it acoustically as well, right?
Acoustically.
So
I've never heard that, and that is awesome.
You have to be able to do it that way. And so for men, I will say, you need to, I'm not anti-porn. I love porn, but everything in moderation. So you have to scale back a little bit, start making love to yourself a little bit. And I know that sounds different for men, but instead of going straight to the goods, just rub your thigh a little bit. Just cup your balls while you're doing it.
Put on a little Boys to Men.
Put on a little, I'll make love to you.
There you go.
Like really kind of get into it. Or November Rain.
November Rain.
Oh my God.
November Rain. There you go.
November Rain at the dance while he was like pushing up against you and you were like, I think he really likes me. Yeah. Those back in those days when you had to use your imagination. But yeah, so slow down. And it is a practice then. It takes a little while to then kind of resensitize your body to what it feels like to just be slower.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is the biggest thing. Is we've talked about this in another episode too, where we just like what porn can do to people and how it can ruin relationships, ruin even your relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's really easy because there's no intimacy involved.
Right.
You're never rejected.
Right.
You never have to perform.
Yeah.
Right. No matter what happens, that girl is accepting you for whatever it is, even if it's a cam girl, even if it's a sex worker. Honestly, anything that isn't like actually organic, the intimacy is taken out of it completely. So that's the hard part. That's the vulnerable part. More vulnerable.
It actually
part
goes right in line, like with where one of the questions I kind of want to ask, one of the themes I want to discuss is I was just reading some stuff, and one of the things that communication is a new foreplay, and I kind of like that.
Yeah.
And this was just basically tips for talking about desires, boundaries, these initial discussions about sex. How are they happening in households that have been together 20 years and households 10 years?
Yeah.
And do you have different strategies of breaking through? So say like we'll just go with the 20-year relationship.
Yeah.
Right? I think a lot of our audience is, probably in the 30s and 40s.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe the 10-year or 20-year relationship. How do you initiate this conversation? Because I believe that there's people on both sides, male or female, that might be intimidated by even starting this talk because maybe, life is going good and this is something they want or desire, but they don't want to...
rock the boat.
They don't want to rock the boat, or they don't want to make things weird and maybe destroy their partnership. Like they might have some real fear around having this conversation. So where do they start?
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Strategy Up. Strategy Up is a business consulting firm led by Mark Zerka, who has over 20 years' experience in building commercial strategies that will up your game, organize your teams, increase your productivity, and grow your business.
Whether you're a construction company looking to grow your revenue or a busy restaurant owner just trying to keep the doors open, Strategy Up can help. Strategy Up's boutique-style consultations will help you improve business process across nearly any industry.
Being a successful entrepreneur does not mean you have to be an expert in everything. Strategy Up specializes in building a relationship with you. Once pain points in the business are realized, Strategy Up will introduce process and technology that will power up your game to the next level.
A successful business requires investment. Your next step towards growth starts now. Email info@mystrategyup.com for a free business discovery call. Up your game with Strategy Up.
So, depending on what they want to talk about, right? Like if you wanted to tie your partner up and like drip candle wax on them, I'd say start super duper slow. But if you really just want to have sex on Wednesdays instead of just Sundays, then it might be a bit of an easier conversation. Right? So, but I do always say schedule intimacy. So that's the first thing that I want people to be able to do is schedule intimacy. It doesn't have to be sex.
Scratch our first question on the 10 questions.
Literally, that was
my first question on the 10 questions. We always do a game at the end of the show. So anyways, you got that one.
Okay.
So
well,
answer.
and the reason I say it is because when you want to bring up communication, you want to schedule that, right?
Yeah.
Emily Morris is another sex educator in the world, and she's one of my idols. And
Where's she
from? She's from LA.
Okay.
And she talks about tone, turf, and timing. Okay, so tone, turf, and timing. And those are the things that you really want to think about when you want to talk about anything sex. So like if you had just had a fight about how much the groceries were at 3:00, then maybe at 5 you don't want to be like, oh, hey, babe, listen, our sex sucks too. Find the timing of it. And then the tone, it has to be less rejection and less, we're never doing this. Like, why don't we ever?
Right.
Oh, yes.
And more of, I remember when we used to, and I really loved when. Do you remember that time that was such a good time. Oh my God, I always thought about what it would be like with you if we could. Have you ever thought about something
How about
like that?
switching up the environment? Like, so if you're living in a domestic, you're in the same house day in, day out, the routine, the kids, the dog, the cat, all that shit. Maybe getting out of that house and
get out of the house.
Else.
Go somewhere else. Talk about things on date night. On vacation, sex is like the best time to have sex. Honestly, for women, but people say women, and it bothers me a lot because I know the stress that's on men as well. But stress and pleasure can't exist at the same time. So when we remove those stresses,
that's important. You say that. So stress and pleasure cannot exist at the same time.
No, you have to remove the stress in order for true pleasure to come in. We can perform pleasure when we're stressed, right?
Yeah.
We can get there. We can have little tidbits of moments. But to really kind of get into it, it just doesn't happen in our brain. It's just the neurology of our brain is that those two places in our brains can't fire at the same time.
And that goes back to your meditation on your thing there, right?
Yeah, so you can do this meditation and it will kind of sink you back into your body and connect you with your partner.
Reduce that stress,
eliminate
eliminate
the stress. Increase your oxytocin, increase a little bit more, lower the dopamine receptors because dopamine is just quick and fast. And we really want oxytocin to kind of slow us down and help bond us and connect us and do those things. But another little tip though, to, if you're in a long-term relationship and you want to start something new, there's a little game that I like to recommend for couples. And it's really, you just find it on the internet. I didn't create it. It's, I'm not reinventing the wheel, but it's just called a yes, no, maybe game. And if you have a partner and you can have a glass of wine with them or a beer or do whatever, and you sit down with them and you say, here, babe, look, I found this thing. I usually use me as a scapegoat. Serena, that's crazy sex lady, said that we should do this little quiz. And it's not like a quiz, but it's a list and you can get them of hundreds of questions or 20. It just depends. But it's just a list of sex acts from kissing to kissing with tongue to hug to spanking to whatever it is that you want. And there's columns, yes, no, and maybe. And then you take one and you take one and you fill out what are your yes, no's, and maybes on this. And then you combine, you switch them and you talk about what your yeses were, what your no's were, and what your maybes were. Your no's we generally just leave off the table and we say, okay, we'll reevaluate those in a little while.
Yeah.
Your maybes are, what happened? Like where? Maybe. Let's talk about that.
That's
but
fun.
then your yeses, a lot of people, that song, oh my God, Pina Colada. Do you like Pina Coladas?
Yeah.
And they both write into the thing, and then they find out it's them at the
That's
end
right,
because
yes.
they don't talk.
That's
right?
right.
They didn't know that they liked it.
Yeah.
Song has
Sometimes
some weird
people,
lyrics. Yeah.
sometimes people will have these yeses, and they go, "Oh my God, I didn't know you like that. I like that. I used to do that. What do you mean you used to do that?" And then all of a sudden, you're creating a new memory together, and you're creating a new space together.
It's a good analogy. Good song too.
Pina Colada.
I love that song.
Yeah, it's a great song. So the when you say scheduling sex, going kind of back to that, I guess because you said, stress or pressure or whatever and sex and all that. So basically, I guess the idea would be like, try to avoid fighting on that scheduled sex day.
That's a good one,
Yeah. And I mean,
Just agree to everything.
No fights on sex day.
Right. But I mean,
Just kind of put a rule up.
that sounds like merch to me.
Yeah.
That does sound. That's exactly what I was thinking. No fights on sex
Check
day.
out the AP store. We'll have that shirt out next week.
That's why I'm making one with the clitoris that says we get boners too.
Oh, there you
That's
go.
great.
So it's going to be good. But no, honestly, because sex day, it doesn't have to be sex. It can just be intimacy. So even if you have had a fight on that day, then you need to find a way to reconnect.
Right.
The arguments that we have in our relationships, you guys, are not the problem. That is not the problem. It's the repair and the reconnection that we have lost our track on.
Yeah.
People are supposed to argue.
And why? I mean, I know you already said you weren't a therapist. Why do you think that happens? Like
what happens?
That loss of connection.
Because fighting has such a negative connotation to it that sometimes people just avoid fights. But then if they do fight, they catastrophize it. Right?
Yeah.
They're like, oh my God, we had a fight. Good couples don't fight. But good couples do fight.
Yes.
But really good couples know how to repair after a fight. And instead of just saying like sweeping it under the rug and then holding grudges, you look at your partner and you go, you have to be strong enough. So for me, for example, I'm chaotic. I'm just a shit show most of the time. And like I've got cycles of things and I'll go to my partner or something and say, have a blowout. And then I have to be strong enough to go back and go, that was my fault. I completely take accountability for that. You might be a dickhead too, but I blew that out of proportion, and this is what needs to happen. Or, what you said really did hurt me. Like, we need to start talking to each other like we're little children.
Right.
So I like to tell people, when you're having an argument with your partner, sometimes if you can, because I know we get flooded a lot of the time and really elevated, but if you can look at your partner like the little 7-year-old version of them and say, what would I say to this person right now? Maybe a 7-year-old just yelled at me. Would I yell back, or would I say, buddy, that really hurt my feelings?
Right.
Like the way you spoke to me, I don't know if you meant to speak to me that way, but it really triggered something in me, and it's making me feel like you don't love me right now. And I know that sounds just so therapeutic and so blah, blah, blah.
No, I think
but
that's
it's the only
you
way
articulated that well.
to
I
have
like
these
that.
conversations with our partners.
Yeah. No, that's a good point.
And then to come back together and repair physically, and not sex, but a hug, a kiss. A 6-second kiss is...
It's like you're reading my script here. Like I just had like this, exploring intimacy outside.
Did you send this to her ahead of time?
No, I swear to God. Like exploring intimacy outside the bedroom, right?
Yes.
I mean, so this is something there that when I read this myself today, I was kind of like, okay, maybe you're better at some of this stuff. Redefining what counts as a connection. Making connections all the time.
All the
right?
time.
Yeah.
There's so the Gottmans did a very large study, one of the largest studies on couples in their relationships, and what they have come to realize is a 6-second kiss, open mouth, twice a day, is one of the biggest indicators of a couple's success long term.
Okay.
Wow.
And it's because of the release of oxytocin that happens in that, because you can be mad at your partner and then kiss them
Unless
for 6
it's
seconds.
like at the beach, when I'm sitting there and I gotta look at you. I hate that shit. Like, I don't like seeing it when people are doing it right
No,
now.
like they're not making out, but it's just like it's 6 seconds.
No idea where you're going with that. No idea.
They only do that on the naked beach.
Yeah, that's right.
There's the third beach.
The third
Shout out to Crystal Crescent.
Yeah,
The
there
third
you go.
beach, it's a good beach.
Yeah.
So the 6-second kiss is a really good reason. And if you can't turn your head for 6 seconds, that's on you. Like my daughter says now, that's an issue, not an ish me.
Oh, so you're for public.
That's what she says all
So
the
you're
time.
for public affection, like that
love
deep
it.
public
Yes,
affection
of
when it's
course.
like cross.
Now, if it's
I'm
not, like,
against
10
hand-holding,
minutes
but like when
long.
people are like going, yeah.
If it's
Okay.
not 10 minutes long,
6 seconds is not really that long.
it's not that long.
It's really not that long.
But this really is, okay, so just to be clear though, this connection specifically is supposed to be before you leave each other in the day.
Right.
And when you come back and reconnect at the end of the day.
Okay.
Okay, so it's to say goodbye, go have a great day, I love you, I
Like
hate
you're going to war every day.
I hate you, but I love you.
6-minute kiss.
You didn't do the laundry, you pissed on the seat, but I love you. Here's your
Yep.
kiss, God damn it. Get out of my face, right? Because let's be honest, that's the way you feel sometimes.
Yeah.
And then when it comes back, one person is like, oh, Jesus, you again. And the other person's like, yep, come give me that kiss, and you've got to do it. And it just gives that little softening to the day.
I like that.
Right?
No, you know what? That makes sense.
That's cool.
It's not really any different than I've said. Like, if you're feeling a little down in the dumps or you're sad or something like that, it's like.
I mean, hugs lift you up. I mean,
they can. No,
I
of
don't
course.
like hugs. I'm
No,
not
you
a big
don't.
hugger,
Yeah.
right?
No.
Like
30-second hug is the gold
I gotta
standard.
get better at that, yeah.
The moment that your hug starts to feel uncomfortable is when you need to stay there for 10 more seconds.
For real?
For real. Like that's your body.
gonna
Because
give
in
you
that
I'm
moment,
I'm going to give you a 90-second hug
honest to
later.
God, because that's that moment.
I'm already angry.
You can feel it though. When I say that moment your body wants to pull away,
yeah.
like you feel it. We
I wanna
know what
pull away
that
right
is.
now.
He hugged me and he wants to pull away.
I'm always like,
Yeah.
I do the pound. I don't even really like shaking hands. that much.
Realistically, though, like I've always said, like if you're feeling down the dumps or you're sad or depressed or whatever it may be, it's like if you need to get through it,
Yeah.
I've always said try to volunteer and help somebody.
Yeah.
Because it's really hard to feel sad
Yeah.
while you're putting a smile on someone else's face.
Right.
It's not really that different than what you're saying right now.
It's not. It's not. It's you're boosting that oxytocin in your own
Yeah.
body. Plus, if you're having a hard day, you're distracting yourself from those negative thoughts.
That's right.
And you're putting some kindness out there, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's everything that we can do to just boost positivity in our lives. Yeah. And can I just talk a little bit more about how to extend? What was that question? Something about sex outside of sex?
Yeah.
Intimacy outside of sex?
yeah, 100%.
The definition of sex is something that I like to talk about a lot, because the definition of sex for a lot of people is penetration with a goal to orgasm.
Right.
Particularly Bill Clinton.
Right.
That was his definition.
Exactly. But two things. First of all, there's an entire 50% of this entire, world that some of us don't have sex with anything that is inserted or penetrated at all.
Yeah.
Right? So it doesn't have to be penetration.
Yeah.
Secondly, the goal doesn't have to be orgasm. It can be fun. And this is mind blowing to some people because they're like, well, what do you mean I can just say, okay, I'm done now? Right? Like, why would you even say that? And I'm like, no, you can actually just say, okay, that was cool. I'm not going to like come, but I'm just done now. Like, that was super great. And I really love it. And then I tell long-term couples, I go, you know what? They come into me and one partner will say, sometimes I have a high drive partner who will say things like, I want to have more sex. I want to have sex more often. And I go, okay. And then the other person's like, well, I could have sex like once a month and I'm feeling okay with that. And I'm like, all right, well, let's find a compromise here. Or like, you know, something that we can collaborate on. But what if we took the definition of sex, which is what we're doing now in this world, is not just me, it's just the world of sex ed altogether. And we're redefining sex from anything to do with penetration and goal-oriented orgasm to the moment you become erotically connected to the moment that it ends is sex. So you could make out, you could kiss, you could do, you know, mutual masturbation, you could be cuddling, you could be doing like an erotic massage, like just a really cozy massage with one another. And when that ends, you can say to your partner, that was sex. Like we had sex, we had some pleasure, right? As long as there's some erotic pleasure that's happening there. And then everything that happens from the moment that you stop being erotically connected in that moment until the time you become erotically connected again is foreplay. So that's your day-to-day, that's your kisses, that's how you've treated each other, that's the calls that you've made, the sexting you've done, you know, the things that you've, you know, incorporated, the effort that you've incorporated into your person, right? So maybe your partner really likes emotional connection and maybe you really like some distance because guess what? Distance is a love language too. I really like, it is. I really like it when my partner's like, just go. And I'm like, I fucking love you. Like, thank you so much. Like, I don't need to be up in your grill all the time. Like that drives me insane. Let me go to the lake by myself, right? So like you go golfing or you go play hockey or you go play your sport and go do your thing. So all of those things are foreplay. It's how you're treated between sexual encounters. And the interesting thing is most people who have been socialized as women will say the more that foreplay is cultivated and made important, the more often they actually want to do the sexy stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
that's what it means to be emotionally connected to somebody.
Right. I like that.
Yeah.
No, that makes a lot of sense, actually. I actually wanted to, I don't know if you had something there, but there was something I wanted to kind of go back to that just kind of popped back into my head because you were talking about when you were younger and the things that you were that you were always interested in, and you talked about like education with kids and things like that. And I mean, some people get triggered by that, but I do feel that it, and I think you and I have even talked about this before, that it's better to for the right people to educate your kid. On sex, or not even just sex, just anatomy.
Yes.
Right? Just anatomy, right? Because you don't want the wrong person to educate your kid on that. And I liked what you were saying when you first talked about how you mentioned particularly women, but I'm sure it's the same for men too. Those who are comfortable with their body the most and don't feel shame, because it's often that shame that prevents them from coming forward when they've been abused when they were young.
Exactly.
And I think that's something that really needs to be kind of hammered home, is that the importance of the education of not just sex, but anatomy and all that stuff, the lack of shame, the comfort that they can have in their body, because we can protect a lot of young people from being abused if they have that that weapon of knowledge, right?
Exactly. And that's exactly what it is. It's a weapon. When you have knowledge, like knowledge is that power.
Yeah.
And it's not just power over your pleasure and your orgasm. It really is power over the name of your body parts.
Yeah.
So, Uncle so-and-so can't come up to you and be like, let me show you what you're supposed to do with your cookie.
Right.
And now your little person not have any idea what's going on.
And you feel that shame, and no one talks about it.
Yep.
So all of a sudden now it's like, quiet.
And like,
right?
I remember that at bath time, dad couldn't help me do this, or mom didn't say the right name for this. So like if something happened, am I allowed to go talk to them about it? So if you have a home that's cultivated where, just the language is used at an appropriate level, like from the time children are of age to be learning how to speak, they should be learning the proper names of their body parts. There's nothing wrong with that, right? So as long as, and then they know that that's a completely open open conversation. I have 2 boys, and when I was raising my boys, I made it so, and it has nothing, I don't want to say it has nothing to do with sex, but I wanted them to be really comfortable with women's bodies and women's issues. So even if I was down in the downstairs bathroom and like I needed a tampon, or maybe I didn't, I would call out to my young boys and be like, hey, can somebody go get me a tampon? So they heard the language, tampon, mom's on her period, like things like that. Just general things. Nothing, you know.
How old are your kids now?
20, 17, and 16.
And how do they feel about mom's profession?
So my oldest has kind of grown up with it a little bit.
I would imagine.
Right.
They have.
So, and he, you know, that was completely fine. We've had such an open household like that for a really long time. So he's totally cool with it. He actually said to me one day, he goes, because I check in with the kids quite often, and I'll say, so how's it going? You know, mom's on the internet now, mom's here, you know, mom's voice is everywhere, I'm talking all kinds of stuff. Is anybody saying anything? And they say no, they haven't really heard anything. My oldest is like, well, the boys make fun of me a little bit, but they're just ribbing me. And I go, yeah, okay, he's a hockey player, he's 20 years old, like whatever. Yeah. But he goes, but the girls really love it when they find out my mom's a sex coach. So thanks, Mom. And I was like, but they love it. He has a really high emotional intelligence as well, which I really, really love. But it is fun to hear him, like, see him with like his girlfriends, like talking about different things that maybe other boys wouldn't want to talk about at such at that age. My other son, he'll come to me about private things. He doesn't necessarily talk to me about much. And my daughter, honestly, I think she's just so sick of it. And she's so sick of me, and she's 16. And then she's just like, whatever, Mom. Like, I don't care. Like, whatever.
That's a typical 16-year-old.
Just so typical.
100%.
Right? Yeah. But like these pleasure pods, for example, I use them as a lip gloss, and she has one up in her room, and she uses it as a lip gloss. And when her friends came over, she goes, I'm using lube on my lips. Like, it's funny and jokey in our house, and we keep it really light. Yeah. But there's nothing that was never age appropriate that was talked about. And people say, well, how do you know it's age appropriate? Yeah. But you will know. Like, your kids will start asking questions. If your kids say something like, where do babies come from? Stop telling them they come from the stork and they come from belly buttons. Right. Literally say the words, babies grow in mommy's uteruses. Oh. And then your kid, and then stop. Go dead stop, because your kid will ask the next question.
You're back to your parents when you were a kid. What'd you get?
I got not a heck of a lot.
Yeah. What kind of story do you remember?
Did I get maybe the stork, probably?
I got a story about bears, man.
Bears?
Polar bears. I swear to God. I didn't think about it 2 years later. They read a book to us, and like me and my younger brother, about like bears and shit. Like, swear to God. And it was just like about bears, and they had a baby bear and all that. So I think it was like probably appropriate in the sense of like it wasn't like something dropped off a baby. Right. Some mystical force. But it was really weird. I didn't think about it later than life, and then found the book one day. I was like, what the
I honestly don't. I don't remember having any type of sex talks with my parents, because like they agreed to, like, when I was in grade 5 or whatever, and you could sign up, whatever. I was one of the people that they were like, yeah, talk to my kid about. Like, grade 5 and grade 6, both years. We went there and all that stuff, and they were just like, yeah, you do that kind of thing, right? And I mean, in a way, it makes sense. I mean, I still think, like, I hope that I can have an open dialogue with my kid, but also at the same time, sometimes an expert is maybe the best person to talk about it.
I mean, public educators, I think, are pretty good with that today.
And I think, they are. They have.
Some people don't like it, though.
I know.
Yeah, I know.
They don't like that they're being taught in schools and blah, 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 blah. But it's just, I don't know, guys. It's hard because there's so many layers to it, but when you're teaching the masses, I even have to do this. When you're teaching the masses, you can't bring your opinions into it. You really just have to stick with some facts, right? And that's just, I think that's the safest way to do anything.
Right.
So when it comes to children, they listen and they hear. We want to cultivate an environment of like acceptance in these young kids, because they're growing up in a world that we didn't grow up in. They're growing up in a world where, everybody is kind of amalgamated in together, and everybody's talking about everybody, and their sexualities are talking about everything. And we need to have kids who have compassion and that are able to push through the peer pressure of the making fun of. That's what I think. Like, the kids just need to be strong in their boundaries when it comes to being kind. That's what I want kids to learn. I don't care what that person is doing. I don't care who they're sleeping with. I don't care what they think they like. I don't care what they know they love. I don't care about any of the story. But when my kid is in a situation where there's either a making fun of or tormenting, or a stand up for, be an ally, or bring those people away and protect.
Right.
That's what I want my kids to be.
Me too.
Just protect. Right? Whether you don't have to say a word. If you're scared, I get it. Everybody's kids. There's going to be a thing. But don't participate and pull those people away.
Right.
You know? Like if your friends are about to say something really rude to somebody at school, just be like, guys, come on, let's go over here. Let's go do something else. And kind of try to protect the person who needs that space for themselves.
Yeah.
They're probably already going through enough.
For some reason, and I also kind of like, I don't know, because there's so much stuff that goes on, and like you see the stuff online, and that's people like, don't teach my kids this, and do teach my kids that, or whatever. I dance a little bit of a line, because on one hand, now being 39, almost 40, I sit there and when I see a 14-year-old, I think, little kid, right?
Yeah.
But when I was 14, I didn't think I was a little kid.
No, you didn't.
And I think some people forget what it's like to be 14. And
Yes.
I know I was a 14-year-old boy.
Yeah.
I can tell you, the only thing that I thought about was pretty much sports and boobs.
Yeah.
That's it.
I get
and do
it.
people I think people forget about that.
Yeah.
So when you're 14 years old, and this is what's on your mind all the time, like girls are on your mind, or whoever you're attracted
so
to.
normal
but for me,
and natural.
Right.
Yes, exactly. You're coming into your erotic self.
So this is like the biggest thing that's on people's minds half the time as a teenager, and I think people forget about that. That you're going to ask questions, and now they're like, oh, they shouldn't talk about blowjobs in schools, and it's like, but that's what a 14-year-old boy wants.
Right.
So we have to talk about it, or something bad could happen.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I remember getting that same talk probably that you got a little bit earlier, but I say not earlier, I'm just 10 years older than you. So it's just, however that would have changed within those 10 years. But we got a little book and we got the thing and we talked about, oral sex, right?
Yep.
So maybe we didn't call it blowjobs and maybe it was cunnilingus and like it was all of this stuff. And you had to use the
That
right...
sounds like a metal band.
Right, I know. You had to use all the right terms, and that was fine. But like we did have those conversations, and I'm not going to lie. I don't think that we need to in school be talking about the nitty gritty of what pleasure is, but how it works and what's going on. I also think that I know that it's not in the budget, but if anybody's listening out there, you should really hire a sex educator, a professional to come in and have these conversations. We've been trained to do this. We've been trained to talk to, variety of kids, and we're not bringing our own opinions into it, right?
Yeah, and teach consent and teach limitations and teach all this stuff that can help people and help people understand the do's and don'ts.
So we're not sitting there with our own biases, kind of, or nervousness. I mean, come on, if I was just a normal old person, and even you said that you were nervous having this conversation today.
Yeah, geez.
Because like we're not used to having these conversations.
No.
So then now you put on top of a teacher who has a ridiculous curriculum with like 40 kids, and some of them are not listening. They've got all this stuff, and now they've got to talk about the most taboo topic that maybe they've never even had to talk about, and they've got to curate it to 40 different people who are going to go home to 40 different sets of parents who have 40 different views and opinions on how that should have been taught. Talk about the stress and anxiety. Put me in front of that class, and parents can come at me all you like, because that's what I'm trained to do. That's my job.
So don't teach algebra and sex ed at the same time.
Yeah.
We got to get to the 10 questions, guys. I'm so sorry.
Let's do it.
We filled that hour really quick. That's unbelievable.
I can talk and talk and talk.
No, but that's
It's
great.
an interesting topic.
Actually,
I think people should talk
I had
about
a
it
couple more topics. There's one thing I did want to ask you about because, I'm respecting, again, the listeners of our show. If you're still with us, thank you. And I had some stuff about reclaiming desire. I mean, folks listening to the show might be on their second relationship.
Yeah.
They might have recently experienced menopause.
Yeah.
That's
a big one.
Yes, sex can totally change after that.
Yeah.
So if you have a little bit, I know we only maybe have a couple minutes here, but just a little bit of what maybe, where do folks go for assistance and those things if they lose this sexual desire through menopause or after divorce or those ugly situations that life throws at you? Yeah,
they throw at you, and it really can halt all of the desire that you have in there. You question who you are.
Yeah.
The first thing that I want to say to anybody who has any sort of feeling of, oh my God, what happened to me? What's wrong with me? Is that you're not broken. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing I want everybody to know. If you're going through menopause, this is a normal stage of life, and you are going to go through it, and it's going to feel different, but there's lots of ways that we can get things to kind of work for you. If you're in your second relationship, hopefully if you're in your second relationship, you're feeling like a teenager again, really, hopefully. Yeah. But sometimes it isn't. And sometimes you're questioning, my body doesn't work the same same way that it used to, especially when it comes, I mean, not especially, but like men, for example, we talk a lot about women in menopause, but men go through their own stage and change of life when they hit, 35, 40, 45, depending on what that is. And if your body's not working the way it did when you were a 20-year-old stud, and now all of a sudden you can't go for 45 minutes and, or an hour, and you can't get them up in that position anymore, that has no effect on who you are or what you are as a lover. We need to have sexual intelligence.
Right.
And all that means is that we need to grow and change within our sexuality and within our desire and our knowledge of what our bodies are capable of and the pleasure that we want to find. There are going to be some people in their second stage of life who are not going to be goal-oriented in orgasm. They're only going to be oriented to the goal of connection. Cool. I want to make out with you for 45 minutes. I just want to kiss your face. I want to rub your back. I want to touch your thighs, whatever that is, because maybe there's other ways of pleasure that are just not working anymore. So we just sit back and ask yourself, tell yourself, I'm not broken. Mm-hmm. And if there is something that you want to have a conversation about, reach out to a professional.
Reach out to
at serenahaines.com.
There you go. Or and you have a podcast you do?
And I have a podcast called Intimacy Unlocked. So
and you're doing a TED Talk.
And I'm doing a TED Talk on August 9th. Yeah.
Congratulations. Is that here in Halifax?
It is. Yeah. Down at the Lighthouse Art Center. And my topic is your sexual wellness is the missing puzzle piece in your overall mental health and wellness.
Love it.
Yeah.
That I will please let us. Is that going to be on YouTube and stuff?
It will be. It will be broadcast, I believe, live. And there's also 100 tickets that are being sold to the show.
Please send it to us once it gets out. If we or maybe we can get to the show or something. Now we'll figure it out. When is that again? August
9th.
I don't think I'll be in.
Yeah, it's a Saturday.
I might be in Cape Breton. But
that's all.
If I'm not,
you'll find it. I'll send it to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna do 10 questions.
Okay.
Some of them are really dumb. Okay.
Off the cuff.
Some of these have nothing to do with sexual health.
All right.
These are all over the place questions. Just a little bit of fun we like to have at the end of the show.
All right. You want me to kick it off?
Sure, buddy.
All right. I'll kick it off. I'm gonna kick it off with a funny one.
Okay.
So, what food is the most sexual to you?
Oh, right off the bat, I wanted to say oysters, but they're not really. Charcuterie. I know that sounds weird, but I love a little pick. If I was to go on a date with a man, or if I was to be in some sort of erotic space with a man, and we were having a meal, and he picked this beautiful little plate of pickies, I would be like, God damn. Okay. Yeah, that's what I love the most.
I mean, that checks out. You certainly don't want to eat a burger and fries. You're pretty heavy after that. So
yeah, exactly. Little picky foods. You can have a little bit of everything. Maybe share a little bit. Yeah, that's what I like.
I also would have accepted banana or hot dog.
There you go. Charcuterie. All right. Question number 2. Okay, if you could have a beer and an unfiltered sex chat with any famous historical figure, who would it be and why?
Oh, I think it would probably be Jim Morrison.
Jim Morrison.
Oh, wow. Okay, there you go.
Wow.
Yeah. Cool. And just sit and be like, tell me all about it. Tell me all about what that was like back in the day, because that was a fun time.
Yeah.
And it probably had nothing to do with all the sex, but I just feel like those conversations with him would be a little bit deeper and also really crass.
Yes.
Be fun. Yeah, there you go. Over to you, Matt.
All right. All right. This is an either or question. Sex on the beach or sex in a car?
In a car. The beach is really fucking sandy. And sand gets into places, not that I know, but I know. You don't want to do that. Don't do that. Do it in a car.
Okay.
It's like The Simpsons, Homer's like, smart. Sand's everywhere. I know. Let's go home.
It's terrible.
Okay. Worst movie you had to sit through in recent memory. This could come from any facet of life. For whatever reason you had to watch a movie. It could be over the last year. Have you sat through a movie or a show, or did you go to the theater, see something that was a dud? Anything like that?
Well, yeah, but it's not going to be super fun. It was Kung Fu Panda 2, and I'll never forget it because I fell asleep in the theater, and it was so dark, and my kids were there, and one of my kids got up and left the theater, and I have 3 of them, and they were really young at the time, and one of them was like, Mommy, wake up. Anyway, so, I mean, it's not like a super funny one, but I'll never forget that day. I was like, what am I watching?
All right, then.
Sorry, Jack Black.
Yeah, sorry, Jack Black.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I love Jack Black, but that movie was
just
the
not
pits.
not your show.
No.
Question number 5. Okay. Do you think it is it's impossible to outgrow your own story without losing your identity?
Do I think it's... Say that one more time.
Do you think it's impossible to outgrow your own story without losing your identity?
Okay.
That's a deeper one.
It is a deeper one. And I think that you're supposed to lose your identity when you outgrow your story, and you're supposed to create a new identity for yourself. So we shouldn't be the same people that we were 10, 15, even sometimes 5 years ago. And if you are creating a new story, then that identity is just a label that you've given yourself from all the patterns that you've gone through your whole life. And you're actually allowed to just dissolve that identity and create a new one for yourself if you want.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good. Number
10 out of
6.
10 answer.
That's what I think.
Describe your perfect breakfast.
A coffee followed by a crispy bacon on bread with ketchup.
Ketchup.
Sandwich.
You lost me at ketchup at the restaurant.
Yeah, crispy bacon, not toast, just bread and ketchup. So it's soggy and you smash it together so the bread is really, really thin and then you eat it.
My grandfather liked ketchup toast.
Oh my God, it's my favorite.
And he's the only person I knew.
I'm from Newfoundland. Homemade
You
bread.
don't make bologna sandwiches
Oh,
with
yeah.
ketchup?
What?
Ew. What?
Bologna sandwich with ketchup. You dip it in ketchup.
Oh, yeah, that
Okay,
too.
fried
That too.
bologna.
Fried bologna.
bologna.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did that one too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was homemade bread and butter
I'm
with
just
ketchup.
not a big ketchup person anyway, so.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. So question number 7. What are the first steps that someone should take if they feel the romance in their relationship is dead or dying?
Ask yourself who you are today, whether you're trying to get something back or whether you're willing to recreate something new. I think that's the first thing. And then the second thing would be to go to that partner and just say, how are you feeling about things? Because we're not an island when we're in a relationship. So it takes two to tango. So you kind of have to go to your partner then and say, what are you missing? What do you need? Or how have you changed? Because we continue to try to be who we were, but we change so much. And that's that intelligence I was talking about. You need to be able to roll with that and go, what did I lose? And not in a bad way, but what have I left behind and who am I now? And sometimes I think Jim Carrey actually once said that like depression is your avatar just telling you that you're just done with this identity. And sometimes in our relationships, we need to look at that and say, you know what? I think maybe this depression that I'm feeling in my relationship is just my avatar saying, you know what? I'm done here and I need to recreate something.
Question number 8 over to you.
Number 8. Okay, thanks for keeping track of the numbers because I was getting lost. Okay. We already answered that one, so I'm going to go back to this one. If creation was an act of divine self-expression, what do you think the Creator would be trying to understand or experience through us as human beings?
Another deep one.
Just the passage of time. Just the passage of time filled with joy. I think that I actually love that question, and I think about it quite a bit, like the meaning of life and who we are and how we're all fragmented pieces of consciousness, just kind of living our lives in different little skin sacks, but we're all really part of the same overall source consciousness. And I really think that the biggest ingredient in that is understanding that the passage of time, finding joy in the passage of time, is the whole point. Because why else would we be here? Because we're not going anywhere else afterwards. And I mean, we are, but we're not. And there's really, that creation that we have is just the creation of joy and passion in our lives.
Okay.
Love it.
Question number 9 over to me. So, what ways would you help someone open up communication into kinks? So if someone has a kink and they want to talk to their partner, what's the best way
This is a short question that you asked me at the very end of this. Okay, sorry. Ask me one more time.
So yeah, what is what ways would you help someone with communication in terms of opening up kinks?
Okay.
Yeah.
So first of all, to redefine what that means for you and what the shame was around it, because if you're having a hard time talking about it, it means there's some sort of shame. If it's a personal thing that you just want to explore on your own, that's a little bit easier. When we're doing it in relationship, it's harder because we have to deal with other people's patterns and their scripts as well, right? So we need to take it slow. But to define what it is that you want, and then I always like to say, whatever it is that you came to me that you want to be able to do, I want us to take a step backwards and do a lower version of that, a slower version of that first. So somebody might come to me and say something like, you know what, I really want to be dominant, and I want to spank my partner. And I go, okay, cool. So let's take that back just a notch for a second, and let me ask you: have you ever taken control in the bedroom? Have you ever just said, turn over on your knees, do this? How do you feel about that, and how does your partner respond to you?
Right.
So slowly with a lot of communication and a lot of knowledge, because kink is such a big topic, and the stupid 50 Shades of Grey has caused so much trouble and problems and bruises where they shouldn't be, and I don't like that. But I'm a really big proponent of kink, and I love that. I think that everybody in the world is really kinky.
All right, last question. The one that we ask everybody.
Everybody gets this question.
Okay.
What's one piece of advice you were given in your lifetime that you want, that like you'd just love to share with others? Like, you could be given it at any point in life, recently or years past, just kind of held on to it. Just piece of advice you like to roll with.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of recent, but I think it might have gone back into my earlier days as well. But it's that your authenticity is more important than any standard that anybody could place on you ever. So, they say that love is the highest frequency, but it isn't. It's authenticity. So we've measured frequency in our bodies and the way that feels. And it's not it's not necessarily, quote, being kind and loving people, but it's being your authentic self. And if you are your authentic self, then nothing but good can happen, because the world is always conspiring to give you exactly what you need when you're in your authentic frequency.
With that, I would say cheers to authenticity.
Cheers to authenticity.
And to you, Serena, you were an awesome guest. We learned a ton, and we still have little plastic vaginas sitting on our table. That's the first.
It's a vulva.
Oh, vulva. Sorry, thank you.
That's right.
But I had a great time, so thank you very much, and you're welcome to come back on anytime.
Thank you for having me.
Good luck on the TED Talk.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Afternoon Pint. We are an independent podcast, and we need your support. Please take a moment to hit that like, follow, and share button. Email us if you have an idea or suggestion for the show. Please send your feedback. We'd love to hear from you.